What's going on, everybody? Y'all already know the vibes, and today's champs preview is going to be on none other than the Los Angeles Thieves. Now, look, this team has had a lot of hardships throughout the entire year. They've made the most roster changes out of any team in the league, but they finally settled on a set four. Kenny, Slasher, John, and Draza. Kenny and Slasher running the ARs. John and Draza running the subs. We've only really seen this team in stage 5, so the sample size is very small. If you guys are kind of new, you might not know much about John. John is one of the best SMG players of all time. He was teammates alongside Slasher and JCap, who is the coach, on Envious in Black Ops 3. They won COD Champs, had a lot of success. They got second at IW Champs. But he was out of the league, I believe, for a year or two, and he finally got called back up. He was playing fantastic in Challengers, and he's here again. And he is a little rusty, I guess you could say. He needs to get back in the swing of things, but he has 3 really talented players around him in Kenny, Slasher, and Draz. This team they're obviously my boys, okay? And yeah, you're going to tell me I'm biased or whatnot. I'm always hopeful for them. I'm always confident in them through the highs and the lows of this year. But right now, it's so hard to give like a fair take on their team just because of their sample size. You know, in stage 5, they were solid. You know, they got 5th, 6th at the major. I think they looked pretty good at the major. I mean, at the major, they lost 3-2 to Toronto in the very first round. A game 5 round, I think 9 or 10. But in all honesty, they absolutely threw that game 5. They had that in the bag. That was their series to lose, and they lost it. They fumbled the bag. And then they went down loser's bracket. They beat New York. They obviously had Diamond Con instead of Clay. And then they lost to Dallas for top 4. They lost 1-3 in the series. That was also another series that they had complete control in. They won the first map. They got 1v3'd round 11. So they could have potentially been up 2-0 in that series. Now, they still definitely could have lost that series 3-2. But there was glimpses of hope for them to actually be a contender. There were glimpses. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I get that. But the fact is, they could have beat Toronto and Dallas. Those are 2 top 4 teams in the game right now. And they could have beaten them both. But they didn't. And so they had a very lackluster 5th, 6th. But they showed potential. You know, Kenny's been the only player on this team throughout the entire year. Like I said, there's been a lot of roster changes. But we all know these types of players. John, Slasher, Kenny. Draz is obviously a young gun, but he's been phenomenal all year long. He's ran multiple roles, ran them very well. Slasher, we all saw Slasher at the stage 5 major. He played great. He is a LAN player, okay? We see Slasher tweet all the time about LAN. It's just what it is. He's a LAN player. He always performs better on LAN than online. There's no argument there. And he played great at the stage 5 major. He did. And throughout the entirety of stage 5, they were solid across the board. They went 10-6 in hardpoint, 5-6 in S&D, which isn't great. It's not the absolute worst. You would want it to be a little bit better, definitely above 50%. But it was their control that was really the glaring issue for this team. Something that, in my opinion, is crucial to either their success or their demise at champs if they want any possibility to make this losers bracket run, because they are starting a losers bracket. Okay, that is something that is also stacked up against them. They didn't get in the top 6 overall in the seeding throughout the entire year, so that's on them. I disagree with the format entirely, but that's besides the point. So they can't afford to make any mistakes. They don't have that buffer that a team like Minnesota does, okay? Or FaZe or Toronto, any of those teams. They don't. They got to play flawless from the gate if they want to have any chance of winning COD Champs. And it's good to see that their hardpoint with John has been very solid. And it seems like their map pool is pretty deep in terms of hardpoint. S&D, very hit or miss, at least from stage 5. The only S&D map that I would say they're good at is Moscow. They're average at a couple, they're bad at a couple, but it's just their control that really stands out to me. And I think it's going to be one of the biggest issues for them, because control is that swing map in the series. Even though it's only one map in the series, that could be the difference of if you're up 2-0, you close it out right there. Boom, 3-0. You don't have to worry about a reverse sweep. Or if it's 1-1 in the series, to go up 2-1, you have that map 4 hard point. Even if you lose that, you got that S&D, which, yeah, it gets a little nerve-wracking, but you have it. Or if you're down 0-2, to be able to, win that, gain some momentum, then you have that hard point. Like, it's huge. It's very overlooked in terms of what you need to be good at in a series, just because it is only one map out of the best of 5, but it's crucial. And for some reason in stage 5, they played Garrison Control, my apologies, 5 times, and they went 1-4 on it. They're not good. Every time I've watched them on Garrison Control, they look lost, if I'm being honest with you. They don't look as a cohesive unit at all. Very out of sync. They don't play that map and mode well at all. And so I'm a little confused as to why it was played as much. I'm guessing they have another auto veto, because they only played Checkmate once, which they won. And they played Raid twice, and they lost both raids. But so they had a 2-6 record overall. Not good. They are probably one of, if not the worst control team that will be competing at champs. And that puts a lot of pressure on you. That puts a lot of pressure on your hardpoint and your S&Ds. You could be in a situation where if you lose a close hardpoint, a 250, 240, right? Or you lose a close S&D 6-5 round 11, like they did versus Dallas Empire. Okay. They could have been up 2-0, but they lost that round 11. It happens. It puts so much pressure on you, because after that, they got absolutely bodied in the control. Now they're down 2-1. Momentum is gone. Momentum is out the window for them. That's why control is so important. And I hope that they made improvements. I really do. Just because from what I've seen, their control is very weak. And I know they haven't had much time with John. They haven't had a lot of reps with him as a whole. But I would assume they've been going in the theater. They've been watching the film, watching what they're doing wrong, what the other top control teams are doing to improve on it, because it's going to be crucial. If their control is as bad as it was in stage 5, they have 0 shot of winning COD champs. But if they can improve on it, get it to even like a 50% win rate, just because they get bodied, man. Like, they get bodied. It's like dominant performances from the opposing team every time they play LAT in control. They just got to improve on it at least a little bit. Would love for their S&D to be a little bit better as well. But for me, I would say work on control, because your S&D is your S&D. By this point, it's going to be very hard, especially because you can't really get quality S&D practice, but you can get quality control practice versus top teams. So I hope they've been taking advantage of that and, just building on it, trying to do something. Another big part of their success or their demise, guys, I love him. It's my boy Ken, one of the greatest, best teammate I've ever had. He's been one of the best COD players since he came in at World War II. And he's been one of the best COD players in Cold War. Let me rephrase that as well. He switched his role. He runs a main AR now. But stage 5, he wasn't there for me. Slasher played absolutely lights out. And I was expecting Ken to do the same. That little AR duo thing. But it just didn't happen. Ken looked off, man, the whole major, to be honest. He had a 0.83 in hardpoint. He had a 0.77 in S&D. And he had a 1.0 control. Is that hardpoint KD? Running a main AR 18, or I'm sorry, he had just under 20 kills per 10 minutes, the lowest on his team. So put in perspective, Slasher had 24.6 kills per 10 minutes. And his just overall KD, 0.83 as a main AR. That's not cutting it. I know Ken is probably upset about his performance. He couldn't get anything going. He probably felt out of rhythm the whole time. But he has to step up. I think he will. Ken's built for situations like these. Pressure's at its highest. Back's against the wall. So I'm confident that he's going to be able to turn around, because I think if Slasher plays as good as Slasher did, which he most definitely can and probably will, and Ken can play as good as he's been playing as that main AR throughout the entirety of Cold War, they could be a very scary team. You know what Draws is going to give you. From what I've heard, John's looked a lot better in scrims. He's gotten a lot better in a very short period of time. But Austin just needs some help in that AR role. And if Ken can step up and be that guy, be Kenny, this team can make a run, in my opinion. I know you're going to say I'm biased, and fuck it, I probably am biased. But I truly think out of the two teams in loser bracket, Florida and LAT has a lot more potential to make a run. I truly think there's a chance if Minnesota, or Empire for that matter, whatever team loses in that round one, LAT can beat. But Ken needs to be there. He needs to be there and needs to be performing. So those are the two biggest things for me. They need to improve their control and their S&D, but mostly just focus on their control, because it was piss poor. Like, fuck all. I could do better in control. No cap right now. And also, Kenny playing up to expectation. Kenny playing to where he's been playing all year long, because he had an off stage 5 major, which sucks. But if it was to happen, you kind of slump for a little bit. You'd rather it happen there than the big one. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you think LAT needs to do if they want to have an opportunity to make one of the greatest losers bracket runs of all time? Or what do you think will be the biggest reason why they bail out early, you know, and they get 7th, 8th, or 5th, 6th? They don't really make that run. I appreciate love as always, guys. You guys have been fantastic to me. We are close to 30,000 subscribers, so hit that motherfucking sub button. I'm going to see y'all when I see y'all. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy.